immigration reform. Since 2004, Sister Simone has been best known for championing the stories and realities of those on the margins through her work as Executive Director of Network. In Washington, D.C., she helped shape federal policy by advocating for the rights and needs of our most vulnerable neighbors. Whether the issue of peace building, immigration reform, health care, or economic justice, Sister Simone educates our leaders and policymakers with more informed views on critical issues. The policies we can enact can create both immediate and long-lasting changes for the immersed community in poverty. After courageously working on Capitol Hill with other faith leaders on the Affordable Care Act, she toured the U.S. in the Nuns on the Bus campaign in 2012. A tour sought to educate congregational representatives and everyday people. And I believe that's what we know Sister Simone, especially for out west here. And so I'd like to welcome Sister Simone Campbell.
I'll take one second. I didn't want to preach from way up there because it felt like too far away for the work we do. And the amazing opportunity that we have as people of faith engaged in meeting the hunger of our nation is a great. Oh, look at this. This is oh, thank you, Jesus.
I love that picture. One high studio.
Yeah, the publisher, HarperCollins. What can you do? Took them 4 hours to take your picture. Anyway, well, what I'd like to spend a little bit of time this afternoon, after you've heard so many words, it's hard to imagine more words could be nourishing, but let us pray that they are. I would like to spend a little bit of time reflecting on walking towards trouble. Because as organizers, as people of faith, all faiths, the common denominator that I've found is walking towards trouble with a peaceful heart. Walking towards trouble unafraid. Walking towards trouble and seeing it as a sacred moment of connection and need. And I would like to share with you some of the reasons that I walk towards trouble myself, but why I think it's so called for in this time. Pope Francis, whom I'm referring to as Pope Frank, because I just feel kind of affectionate towards him. And I don't think he would mind. He doesn't seem to stand on ceremony. So Pope Frank has said that inequality is the source of all evil. Inequality is the source of all evil. Well, that made a few politicians nervous, let me tell you. And so they tried to say, well, he didn't really mean it that way, or he's from Argentina, he doesn't understand. About 3 weeks ago, I had the honor of having a meeting with Congressman Paul Ryan. Now, many of you know that Paul Ryan and I have had kind of an interesting sparring match going on. And so I got a chance in crony capitalism. And so I said to him, just like there is here, right? And to his credit, he agreed. He agreed that we suffer from crony capitalism, which I felt was fairly historic. Now, in this, inequality is the source of all evil. What I've come to realize is that often I think of it as economic inequality. I mean, that drives me nuts. But it's also inequality when it comes to immigration status. It's inequality when it comes with the political power. It's inequality when it comes with education and who gets educated and who gets left behind. It's inequality that is the source of much anguish in our nation. And what I hear you all working to do is to weave a fabric that can hold the 100%, to be a place, a society, a people that is bigger, deeper, richer, and open to all. I just had, on Sunday was Pentecost, and for us in the Christian tradition, Pentecost is a glorious moment, and the Jewish tradition, it also has its roots. And I celebrated 50 years in my religious community on Sunday. It was, I don't know, but what I know is that being a sister of social service has led me to know that this fabric big enough to hold the 100% is what is the gift of faith, true faith, and inclusion in our society. And Pope Frank says that one of the ways we can do that is by treasuring reality as more important than theories, than ideas. And what I've realized is I have a theory for everything. I have a theory of what it means that Eric Cantor lost yesterday. I have a theory about how we can still get immigration reform done this summer. She's out of the House of Representatives this summer. I have a theory about what how to fix our economic disparity. But you know what? When I talk my theories, I just have arguments. And in one of your groups, I was sitting in the back listening to your report outs, and the little resistant group in the back who was exercising their own little rules, or whatever that was, mentioned that, well, it's not important just to tell stories to each other. It seems like, well, you gotta grab power and be important. Yeah, maybe. But the important piece is, the reason we tell stories is to break more people's hearts. Because if we break hearts, then hearts are open and more can be included. If I am quite content with my little closed up heart, there's not room for the 100%. Stories open my heart over and over again to the bigger truth of who we are, until there is room for everyone, including Paul Ryan, in my heart. Therein lies our challenge. A few years ago on retreat, I got pushed to radical acceptance. Isn't that annoying? Radical acceptance. And I discovered I had a list in my head of folks who were the mistakes of God. Mitch McConnell was created without lips, and that seems wrong. God wanted The same God in my faith view hums us into being all the time and does not leave us orphaned for a moment. So how can I have Mitch McConnell on my mistake of godless? So then I let go of my mistake of godless and try to open my heart to all those on it. And in the process, you know what I discovered? I think I'm on some people's mistake of godless. They would like to vote me off the island. And as long as we spend our energy defining my turf, creating my walls, voting you off, we will not move ahead. And I came to realize that radical acceptance is at the heart of the faith journey. And to walk towards trouble is to smile and welcome all. It's also, at the same time, I got pushed to be engaged in fighting. But too often I think of fighting as fighting against. Rather, what I have learned is we are called to fight for. If we are fighting for a vision, a policy, an idea, a person, a people, then we can stand with everyone in a circle and struggle together for a vision. So when I met with Congressman Paul Ryan, I tried to create some things that we were fighting for. He agreed we're fighting for a nation who can live into the future. He worries about death. I worry about people left behind. We both share a worry for our nation, and so to fight for our nation, we need to see our different perspectives. And it's easier said than done. In a 15-minute meeting, I got 3 agreements out of it. Pope Francis calls for all of us to be engaged in the conversation, and that we do have a economy that has favorites. The second is that we all care for the future of our nation. And the third was that he would keep working on immigration reform. So let's hope that's true. But what I learned was that in fighting for something, then it's something that draws me on, then I can walk towards trouble of engagement because of the deeper story, of the hope, of the vision, of the possibility that we can be better than this. So what fuels my engagement? Well, let me tell you about Robin. Oh dear, I just realized I'm not saying anything. Did you all see that thing that was going around on YouTube about me and Dinesh D'Souza with Bill Maher? Anyways, I'm grateful. Good. All of a sudden I learned that you would have seen it, and then you'd know my story, and I hate to bore people. But anyway, I met Robin at the president's signing of the executive order to raise the minimum wage for federal contract workers. And Robin is a beautiful young woman in her mid-20s who had on this gorgeous sapphire